What is up, Jay Bears? Andrew J back here with another rendition of the Jay by the Bay podcast, coming at you with episode 11. I'm stoked to have you guys here. As always, please hit that subscribe button if you enjoy these episodes. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You can also check out our Instagram page at Jay by the Bay. But yeah, I'm stoked. Football is upon us. Hall of Fame game in the beautiful city of Canton, Ohio, at Tom Benson Stadium. You got the Arizona Cardinals, Carolina Panthers. Yes, it's preseason football, but I'm just stoked. But as always, remember, football news, football conversations, football year round. With that being said, let's get into it. So tonight, like I said, got the Arizona Cardinals, Carolina Panthers, Carson Beck's getting the nod for the Cardinals, Kenny Pickett getting the nod for the Panthers. So, I think Carson Beck's got a real shot at seeing some playing time this season. Kenny Pickett, we'll see. It's looking like he's competing for the backup job behind Bryce Young. So, some players to watch. I am looking at Carson Beck tonight. Had a rocky start to camp. He was said to be inconsistent, had some accuracy issues, but he's getting high praises from coaches. The work ethic seems to be there. My question is Carson Beck realistically, is he competing as, for Arizona's franchise quarterback job? Or is he really just looking to, prove that he's worth developing? They spent a 65th overall pick on him, third round draft selection, made it to the national championship last year with Miami. So, they liked him enough. They had a lot of other needs that they could have filled, other than, taking him in the third round. So the fact that they took him there, I think that they are somewhat high on him. So they're going to give him a shot. Jacoby Brissett, he's right now, it's his job, QB1. I believe it's looking like he's going to be the starter, for week one. Carson Beck, let's see. I think all three quarterbacks between Brissett, Minshew, and Beck, they're all going to be starting at one point during the season. But let's see what we got from Beck. Some other players I'm looking at on the Cardinals team, the entire running back room. I expect all of them to contribute this year between Jeremiah Love, James Conner, Tyler Algier, Trey Benson. It looks familiar too for Mike LaFleur, who just got hired on. Another one of those guys plucked from the Sean McVay coaching tree. If you recall, back in 2019 when he was the passing game coordinator there in San Fran, he kind of had a similar running back room, just loaded room, not necessarily like star running backs. If anything, I would say that this room is probably loaded with more. But Love and Algier, they're looking to be the primary backs in that room. James Conner is coming off injury. He's kind of been injury riddled career. Missed 14 games last season. As far as I know, Algier is the only one suiting up tonight. So Love, Conner, and Benson are not. So, but yeah, run game is the true identity of this offense. So we'll see. I think you're going to get a glimpse of Algier. I think he's going to be an excellent complementary back to Jeremiah Love this season. So I'm excited to see that. I'm also looking at Denzel Burke and Max Melton. Both are competing for that second cornerback job opposite of Will Johnson. Burke looked good last season. He was kind of thrust in there. He was a fifth-round pick out of Ohio State. Started 8 of 17 games. He had 3 interceptions, 11 passes defended. So, as of right now, it looks like Burke has the edge, but don't sleep on Max Melton, who was also he was a second-round pick back in 2014. He started 8 of 10 games last season. So there's some competition there. I believe Burke has the edge, but do not sleep on Max Melton. Even if he doesn't win that job, I think he gets on the field sooner than later as well, possibly at the nickel position. Going over to Carolina, some players to watch. Jonathan Brooks, year 3. He's missed a combined 31 games because of the multiple ACL tears. So this is going to be year 3 for him. He's pushing Chuba Hubbard. Health is key for him. He is not suiting up, to my knowledge, tonight. But in camp, he looks fast. He looks strong. I look for him to be a key contributor on that offense. I think that they saw how Rico Dowdle complemented Hubbard last year. Dowdle ended up taking over pretty much getting all the first team reps. But I think they complement each other, and they want to kind of keep that a 1-2 punch type of running back room. I'm also looking at Jimmy Horn Jr., that receiver. He appeared in 13 games last year. So, you got Chris Brazel the second, who was out for season, their third-round pick this year. Xavier Leggett got rattled in camp. So, but the route running looks crisp. His hands look good. I think he has an increased role even without these injuries. So, I mean, I think you're going to see him more involved, spread packages, used as a runner. I think he was involved with, I think he was involved in like 8 to 10 jet sweeps last season. So, and I think he could be a valuable special teams weapon. As right now, it looks like he's back on Trevor Achane on kick return and punt return. But with that speed, it's hard to deny him. I'm also looking at Monroe Freeling, who was their 19th overall pick in Carolina. Not much competition, Taylor Moton, God bless him, he's dealing with that whole blood clot, situation. It's not even, I don't even know if there's word that Moton will be coming back this season. So, I mean, Freeling's pretty much been thrown to the Wolves. He's being challenged. He's responding perfectly. He's going up against Jalen Phillips, who they just paid a boatload of money. That came over from Philadelphia. But he's holding his own. Great hand technique. He's physical. He's getting accustomed to that NFL speed. To my knowledge, he will not be suiting up either. But it's looking like he'll be starting right tackle starting week 1 for Carolina. I'm also looking at Cam Jackson, 5th-round pick last season. Massive at 6'6", 330 pounds. Played 9 games last season, so, played half the year. He's ahead of Tershawn Wharton, who's dealing with that neck injury right now, and he's also ahead of rookie 2nd-round pick Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech. But he's explosive. He's quick off the snap. I expect increased reps this year, but so right now he's actually practicing with the first team on that Carolina defense. Mike Jackson Jr. It looks like he has the cornerback 2 position locked up. This is year 3 in Carolina. He's 28 years old. Didn't get a contract even after starting 34 games and just showing what he could do. Last year, 17 games, started all of them. 4 interceptions, housed one of those. Had 19 passes defended. The year before that, 2024, started 17 of 17 games. 2 interceptions, 17 passes defended. And it's no surprise because he showed flashes of this in Seattle. So very aggressive. Even with that, he's sticky in coverage. He's a very disciplined corner. Only had 1 defensive pass interference last season with all that, those passes defended. So he's phenomenal. You don't see that ever. So, I mean, he's incredibly disciplined. If he doesn't get a contract this year, somebody will pay him. I'm also liking Will Lee III. Another cornerback here. He's a 4th-round pick out of Texas A&M. I love this guy. I was very high on him coming out of college. I thought he would have been off the draft board a lot sooner than the 4th round. Outstanding in camp. He's been thrust in the, with first-team reps with the injuries. Nicknamed the Blanket for a good reason. Picked off Bryce Young, 2nd day of camp. So it's not good. That's their starting quarterback. But that just shows, this guy, he means business, as a rookie doing that. So, I mean, I think he gets plenty of time. I think he could be put in the nickel role if he ends up not getting that cornerback 2 role. But remember, you got J.C. Horn also opposite of Mike Jackson Jr. So that's a nice secondary room there in Carolina. But yeah, Will Lee III, lockdown corner. He has cornerback 1 potential. So I expect to hear his name a lot more in the next couple of seasons. Basically, people will be like, who is this guy? And you heard it first. Heard it first right here on Jay by the Bay. Willie the Third, this guy means business. He has cornerback 1 potential. Now, from players that I need to see more from, going to Arizona. Now, I don't knock him as much as a lot of other, people, like a lot of analysts, scouts, all those. Marvin Harrison Jr. will not suit up tonight. Has he lived up to the 4th overall hype? No. But hear me out. It's people keep knocking the drops, and yes, he was dealing with that in camp, but I think that was all mental. He had a combined 9 dropped passes between the last 2 seasons. There was a lot of other star receivers who had a lot more drops. I'm not calling him a star, but Jerry Jeudy had 23, but some other players who had more drops than Harrison Jr., CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase. I know Jalen Waddle. Those are just to name a few. So, like I said, hasn't lived up to the hype of, the 4th overall pick. He does need to become a true number 1 receiver, which I do believe that the potential is there. I think it's undeniable. Looks good in camp. Like I said, at the start of camp, he kind of was dealing with the drops a little bit. I think it was all mental, but he's looking good now. sharp route running. I want to see 80 catches, 1,000 yards, and 8 to 10 touchdowns a season. I don't think that's too much to ask for. I know they're doing, with the quarterback position. He did haul in 8 touchdowns last season. They did have 2,000-yard receivers in McBride and Michael Wilson last year, so it is possible. So I think with his talent, I don't think those numbers are unrealistic. But no, I'm expecting a good year from him. So like I said, he's not suiting up tonight. But Marvin Harrison Jr., I do need to see a little more. But I think he has a good season. At linebacker, Zaven Collins and B.J. Ojulari. Collins, former first-round pick, again, has not lived up to that hype. He's played okay. He's been healthy. He had one solid season. I believe that was back in 2022, which was his second season. But this is year 6. Need to see something. I think he still it's still his spot to lose. But, Ojulari's pushing him too. Ojulari, second-round pick back in 2023. Injury bugs hit him. Missed combined 26 games, 9 last season. Missed all of 2024. He has showed flashes. But yeah, needs to stay healthy. Being healthy is key. Baron Browning, though, is pushing both of them. So, the competition's there, not just between Collins and Ojulari. Baron Browning's pushing them, who was also, got starts back in his Denver years. So, need to see some more. Going back over to Carolina, Sam Heck, 5th-round pick. He's a rookie, 5th-round pick out of Kansas State. Another guy that I was high on. Draft steal. Hasn't looked like that much at camp yet. We're still in training camp, so I'm not going to knock him. But he is slipping on the depth chart. Carolina sees high potential. I think he can earn reps not only at center, but also at guard this season. But, yeah, he's got to show a little more. Like I said, he's slipping on the depth chart. You see something. This was a guy I thought possibly could have been off the draft board in the 3rd round, slipped to the 5th round. So potential is there. The defensive line, like I told you, Lee Hunter. This guy was a 2nd-round pick. He was a part of that defensive line last year with Texas Tech. That included David Bailey, who ended up being the 2nd overall pick. Yeah, right now he's looking like a rotational piece. Tershawn Warren, who's hurt with that neck injury, I expect him to come back and be above him. But then you got Cam Jackson in front of him. But 2nd-round pick out of Texas Tech, plays the run well. Pro Bowl guard Robert Hunt says that he doesn't look like a rookie. So that's, as a Carolina Panther fan, you should be excited to hear that. But yeah, as of right now, it's a rotational piece. He should be pushing Cam Jackson for first-team reps, though. On the edge, got Patrick Jones II and Prince Umanmielen. They're both competing right now. I believe that it's Jones II's job to lose, but it is still up for grab. Umanmielen, this is his 3rd season. This is his 2nd season. He was a 3rd-round pick last year. I need to see some more. This was a guy that coming out of, he played at LSU and Auburn, coming out, potential early 2nd rounder, slipped to the 3rd round. So the potential's there. He's got to show something here. Sophomore year here, needs to be pushing Patrick Jones II here for some reps. And then safety, Isaiah Simmons. If you recall, he was actually an 8th overall pick with the Arizona Cardinals. Now he's shooting for Carolina. Yeah, former 1st-round pick, 8th overall pick, a couple seasons back. He excelled in his 2nd season with Arizona. When he did, he played with the New York Giants the last couple of seasons, 2-3 seasons. They switched him from linebacker to safety. Played okay. That's just where, he was always kind of a hybrid linebacker. But he's a safety now. He was on Carolina last year. He's more of a practice squad player. Appeared in 5 games. I don't think he's not only just competing for playing time. I think he is legitimately competing for a roster spot here. So, need to see something. He's suiting up tonight. Let's see something from Isaiah Simmons. But yeah, to recap it, both teams, I don't think they're making the playoffs. Yes, Carolina made the playoffs last year with an 8-9 record. They won the South. They looked pretty good against the Rams too. They gave them a run for their money, but I think that was more so the Rams beating themselves. But the Rams end up winning. But I got Carolina finishing 7-10. I have Arizona finishing 3-14 again. They finished 3-14 last year. I see them doing that again. Carolina, I don't think they've entirely been drafting well. They hit on McMillan last year, Offensive Player of the Year. They hit on J.C. Horn, 8th overall pick a few years back. dealt with injuries his rookie season, but now he's kind of turned into a top 5 pick. And then Chuba Hubbard, who was, I liked him coming out of Oklahoma State. He kind of had a lackluster last season at Oklahoma State, but this is a guy, I think he's hit on it. They gave him that extension last year. So they hit on those. That's just to name a couple of guys that they did. Like I said, I don't think they've really drafted that well. Free agent, I do think they've been hitting on some free agents. Robert Hunt, become a Pro Bowler. They rewarded him. Damian Lewis used to be with Seattle. Trevon Moehrig used to be with Oakland. I think he's transformed into a very nice safety there in Carolina. And then they bring in, Jalen Phillips, signed him, gave him a lot of money. Same thing with Devin Lloyd, coming over from Jacksonville. Devin Lloyd's looking to lead that defense. They give them both a lot of money. Only time will tell to see how they compete in Carolina. They're willing to throw that money, out there, invest that money in that defense. So we'll see. As far as Arizona, I'm not knocking them at all. I think the offense looks really good. I think they are heading in the right direction. Offense does look promising between Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, and now Jeremiah Love. They just need to find a quarterback now. Is that Carson Beck? I don't know. But let's see. I think that team is heading in the right direction. But again, it's only preseason. When it's all said and done, football is back, baby. I am so stoked. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hall of Fame game tonight at Tom Benson Stadium in the beautiful city of Canton, Ohio, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be stoked. Monday, we will be talking about it. With Blair, I'll be back on Monday for episode 12. We'll be discussing kind of like who we thought played well, who kind of really stood out, who we need to see more from. But yeah, I'm excited. 8 p.m. I'll be watching the game. Again, guys, I love you guys so much. The J by the Bay faithful. I can't thank you guys enough. Please hit that subscribe button. Please share. Looking to grow here. Just a man following his dreams here. But I thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. Remember, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Also, check out all the graphics that you see here today. They're all uploaded on the Instagram at J by the Bay. That's at J by the Bay on Instagram. But so stoked. I'm so glad football's back. But yeah, I feel like a kid. It's like Christmas. Football season. It's back. But yeah, be back Monday. As always, love you guys. Keep watching. Keep tuning in. Until next time, guys. Take care. God bless.